Have you ever looked in the mirror and quietly wondered, is this just what happens with age? That sense of shrinking, of fading strength, of feeling less like the man you once were? You're not alone. And more importantly, you're not stuck. I'm Dr. Mark. And after 30 years of helping men over 60 rediscover their confidence and vitality, I've learned that what many call decline is often just disconnection. In this video, I'll reveal 5 simple but powerful steps to help restore what time tried to take. Stay with me. Your body remembers more than you think. Secret 1. Wake up pelvic power. After 60, I'll never forget the day Mr. Harris walked into my clinic. He was 68, a retired mechanic from Indiana. He looked down at the floor as he sat across from me, clearly uncomfortable. Then he sighed and said, almost in a whisper, "Doctor, I feel like I'm disappearing. Down there. It just doesn't look or feel the same anymore." What he shared was not uncommon. In fact, it's something I hear often from men in their 60s and 70s. The sense that their manhood is quietly retreating, that something they once took for granted is slipping away. And the truth is, in many ways, he was right, but not for the reasons he feared. What was happening wasn't irreversible. It wasn't disease. It was something I call pelvic shutdown, you see. As men age, especially after 60, blood flow naturally slows. Tissues lose elasticity, and the pelvic muscles that support everything from sexual function to bladder control begin to weaken. When those deep muscles go quiet, the penis receives less oxygen, less nutrient-rich blood. And over time, the tissue begins to slowly contract. It's not about losing what you had, it's about losing connection to it. But here's the encouraging part. Your body still remembers, it just needs a reminder. And that reminder starts with one of the most overlooked yet powerful tools older men have in their hands. Pelvic floor training. You've probably heard of Kegel exercises, usually associated with women, but men have pelvic floor muscles too, and strengthening them can change everything. Not just how you perform, but how you feel about yourself. More confidence, more control, more presence. Let me guide you through it. First, find the muscle you use to stop your urine midstream. That is your pelvic floor. Try gently squeezing it and holding for 5 seconds. Then release. That's 1 rep. Aim for 10 to 15 repetitions, 2 or 3 times a day. You can do this sitting, lying down, or standing. No special equipment, no side effects, just quiet, powerful work that you can begin right now, even as you're listening to this. What's actually happening when you do these exercises is remarkable. You're increasing blood flow to the entire pelvic region, reawakening tissues that may have been neglected for years. You're rebuilding strength in the muscles that support the base of the penis. Over time, this leads to better blood retention, firmer erections, and yes, even visible improvements in length and girth. And not just for intimacy, but for your overall sense of vitality. Mr. Harris, the gentleman I mentioned earlier, started doing these exercises every morning with his cup of tea, just 5 minutes a day. 3 months later, he returned to my office with a spark in his eye and a quiet smile. "It's back," he said. "Not just the size, but me. I feel like myself again." He had regained nearly an inch. Naturally, no pills, no surgery, just simple consistency and a willingness to believe that it's not too late. Now let me be honest with you, this is not a miracle cure. You won't transform overnight, but you will notice changes. Small at first, a little more firmness, a little more sensation, and over time. That adds up to something powerful, a renewed connection to your own body, a feeling that you're not fading away but stepping forward, stronger, rooted, present. There is something deeply empowering about realizing that you do not have to give up on this part of yourself, that aging is not the end of growth, but a chance to reclaim what matters. The body responds to care, and when you care for it with intention, it rewards you. These exercises are not just physical, they are emotional. They are a way of telling yourself, I still deserve to feel alive. But if pelvic floor training restores what's been dulled, it doesn't always unlock everything. Sometimes, even when the blood is flowing and the muscles are engaged, There's another factor holding you back, something you can't see, a structure hidden beneath the surface that quietly limits your true potential. This next secret is one very few men have ever heard of. But once you understand it, you may discover that what you thought was lost is actually still there, just waiting to be revealed. And if you're still with me, still listening with an open heart and a curious mind, type the number 1 in the comments. I want to know that you're walking this journey with me, because what comes next may just surprise you. Let's move forward to the second secret. Secret 2. Unlock hidden length with gentle stretching. There is a part of the male body that rarely gets mentioned, yet it holds an incredible key to restoring something many older men believe they've lost. Not many doctors bring it up. You won't hear it discussed on television, but in over 3 decades of working with men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, I've seen firsthand just how powerful it can be. It's called the suspensory ligament, and if you've never heard of it, you're not alone. I remember explaining this to Charles, a 72-year-old retired firefighter from Montana. He had been struggling for years, frustrated by the quiet changes in his body. Nothing he tried had worked. Pills, devices, supplements, until one day, after listening carefully, he looked at me and said, "So part of my length is just stuck inside?" I nodded, and the look of realization on his face was unforgettable. You see, the suspensory ligament is the connective tissue that anchors the base of the penis to the pubic bone. It works like a tether, keeping part of your length hidden inside the body. In many men, this internal portion can measure up to an inch or more. Over time, with age, reduced activity, or too much sitting, that ligament can tighten and shorten. The result is a visible decrease in length, even though technically, nothing has disappeared. The good news is that this isn't permanent. You don't need surgery. You don't need to risk discomfort or danger. What you need is a gentle, consistent process of manual stretching. This is not about yanking or forcing. It's about warming the area, being present with your body, and coaxing that inner length forward with intention. I usually recommend beginning with warmth. A warm compress or a few minutes in a bath prepares the tissue and makes stretching safer and more effective. Then using a slow and gentle outward motion while in a relaxed state. Hold the stretch for about 30 seconds. Let go. Rest. Repeat. A few times per session is enough. The most important part is consistency. Day by day, week by week, your body begins to respond. Charles returned to my office after 8 weeks. He didn't say much at first, but he handed me a folded note. Inside, in his handwriting, was the number 0.75. That was his gain, 3/4 of an inch. I didn't believe it, he said softly, but I measured twice. And the smile that followed said everything. Is every result the same? No. Every man's body is different. But the victory is not just in the number. It is in what that number represents. A return to possibility, to hope, to ownership of your body. For many men, this moment is about more than size. It's about reconnecting with the part of them they thought had faded for good. And there's an unexpected bonus. As the ligament becomes more supple, many men experience a change in the way their body responds. Erections no longer pull inward. Instead, they project outward more naturally, with strength and confidence. It's not just a physical shift, it's an emotional one. But the story doesn't end here, because even if the ligament responds well, even if blood flow improves, there's another layer to this transformation, something deeper that affects how your body repairs itself and how quickly it grows. And it has nothing to do with exercises. It has everything to do with timing. What you eat and when you sleep hold the next powerful secret. Let's explore how these quiet daily choices can awaken the energy and testosterone your body has been waiting to release. Secret 3. Fuel growth with sleep and smart eating. There was a man named Gerald who came to see me at 66, recently divorced and just beginning to date again. He looked like someone ready to step into a new chapter, but something in his energy told another story. He sat quietly for a moment before speaking. Then he said, "I don't feel like myself anymore. Not tired exactly, just not fully here. I wake up feeling flat, and honestly, I think I'm shrinking." I nodded, not in surprise, but in deep understanding, because Gerald's words echoed the stories of so many men I've met. Men who have carried the weight of work, family, and duty for decades, only to realize somewhere along the way, they stopped tending to their own fire, that quiet inner vitality that makes you feel strong, capable, present. Here's the truth most men aren't told. That fire is real. It's not just emotional, it's hormonal. And one of the key hormones at the heart of your strength, desire, and confidence is testosterone. Yes, it naturally declines with age, but that doesn't mean you are powerless. In fact, two of the most impactful ways to support your body's testosterone production are simple, natural, and entirely within your control: when you eat and how you sleep. Let's start with food. Your body's hormone rhythms are deeply tied to your eating schedule. What I've seen time and again is that men who adopt time-restricted eating often see remarkable changes. Gerald started by setting a 10-hour window each day to eat. Breakfast around 8 in the morning, dinner wrapped up by 6 in the evening. No late-night snacks, no grazing after hours, just giving the body structure and rhythm. Within weeks, his energy began shifting. He told me, "I'm waking up with more edge again, and something down there feels fuller." He smiled when he said it. It wasn't his imagination. Testosterone supports blood flow, elasticity, and tissue health in the penis. When levels fall, so does everything else. Stabilizing your eating schedule can help rebalance insulin, reduce inflammation, and give your testosterone the support it needs to rise naturally. Now let's talk about sleep. If there's one thing I urge every man to take seriously, it's this. Deep, consistent sleep is not just about rest, it's about renewal. Most testosterone production happens at night, during the deepest stages of sleep. Gerald had been sleeping only 5 or 6 hours, waking often, blaming it on age. I asked him to make a few small adjustments. No screens for an hour before bed. No caffeine after 2 in the afternoon. A cool, quiet, dark bedroom. Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping closer to 7 hours, and not long after, he began noticing the return of something he thought had quietly disappeared. Stronger morning erections, sharper mood, a sense of being present again. These are not small changes. They are foundational. The food timing, the sleep quality, they set the stage for everything else to work. Your stretching, your exercises, even your mindset all rely on your internal environment being ready. And testosterone is the spark. Gerald returned 3 months later. His testosterone had risen nearly 20% without a single supplement. He walked taller, his voice was steadier, and with a soft grin. He said, "I feel like a man again, not younger, just more like me." That's the beauty of aligning with your body's natural rhythm. You don't have to force anything. You just have to give your body what it's been asking for. But even when your hormones are balanced and your circulation is restored, there's still one more silent factor that could be holding you back. Something most men overlook entirely. It has nothing to do with age or hormones, and everything to do with temperature. Let's move into the fourth secret. One that might surprise you with how powerful warmth alone can be in waking up parts of your body that have gone quiet for years. If you're still here and feeling inspired, type the number 1 in the comments. I'd love to know you're walking this journey with me. Secret 4, reawaken with healing warmth. Not long ago, during a quiet winter afternoon in Denver, I was giving a talk at a men's health seminar. Afterward, a gentleman named Walter, 74, approached me. He was calm, well-dressed, and carried a quiet thoughtfulness. He leaned in and said, "I've done everything. The stretches, the sleep routine, even worked on my testosterone. Things are better, but still, something feels off, like it's numb, tucked away. I know it's there, but it just doesn't feel present." I knew that feeling well. It's something I've heard many men describe in different words, but the meaning is always the same. They're doing the work, seeing progress, but there's a part of them that still feels asleep. And often, the key that's missing is warmth. Not metaphorical warmth, but real, physical heat. You see, as we age, Circulation slows. The tissues in our lower body, especially those involved in intimacy and sensitivity, start to lose warmth and flexibility, just like our fingers stiffen in the cold or our muscles feel tight after sitting too long. The same can happen to the soft tissues below the belt without regular stimulation and warmth. The area slowly retracts inward. It begins to feel dull, tight, even forgotten. What many men call shrinkage is often this low-level constriction becoming their new normal. But there is good news. The body responds to warmth, just like warming up before exercise makes muscles more elastic. Applying gentle heat to this area can reawaken tissue that's been dormant. I taught Walter a practice I call thermal recovery. It's simple, just a soft towel soaked in warm water, wrapped gently around the base and shaft for 5 to 10 minutes before bed. Not scalding, just comfortably warm. The purpose is not just to warm the skin, but to allow that heat to reach deep, encouraging blood flow, softening tightness, and restoring flexibility. Walter started this nightly ritual quietly, after brushing his teeth, with no expectations. 2 weeks later, he called my office and said, "I didn't realize how much feeling I'd lost until it started coming back." He wasn't talking about sensation alone. He was talking about presence, that inner sense of connection to his own body. And that's what makes this practice so powerful. It's not just physical change, it's emotional. It reminds your body that this part of you still matters. It invites the tissue to open up, to breathe, to return over time, when paired with gentle massage or stretching. Many men report noticeable improvements, not only in sensation, but in length as well. Not because something new was added, but because what was there all along was finally allowed to expand again. What touched me most about Walter wasn't just the changes he saw in the mirror, it was the way he carried himself afterward. More relaxed, more grounded, more at ease. He told me, "I used to feel like that part of me was fading. Now I feel like I've reclaimed something I didn't know I was missing." For anyone wondering if this is safe, it absolutely is. As long as the heat is mild and gentle, no extreme temperatures, no discomfort, just a quiet message to your body that it's time to reconnect. And here's something beautiful. Many men who begin this practice notice unexpected improvements. Better bladder control, more sensitivity, even posture changes. Because when you wake up one part of the pelvic region, the whole system often responds. But even with warmth, stretching, rest, and balanced hormones, there's still one final piece to this puzzle, one hidden force that may be quietly working against all your progress. Something so common and routine that most men overlook it completely. Let's now take a look at the 4 most frequent daily habits that slowly undo all this good work, and how letting them go could unlock the final stage of your growth and recovery. Secret 5. Clear the blockers holding you back. Sometimes, the breakthrough doesn't come from adding more effort. It comes from letting go of the quiet things that have been holding us back. That was the case with Richard, a 70-year-old retired paramedic who came to me after months of disciplined effort. He had done everything we had talked about: stretching, pelvic training, better sleep, cleaner eating, even heat therapy. And yet, his results were slow. He looked at me with calm frustration and said, "What am I missing? I've been doing everything right." So I asked him a different question. Not what are you doing, but what are you still holding on to? He thought for a moment. Then it began to come out. Hours sitting in the same recliner each day. A nightcap that had quietly become 2. Old medications he never questioned. And the daily pressure of caring for his wife, which he kept bottled up to stay strong. This is not rare. In fact, it's common. Many men are doing all the right things, while unknowingly sabotaging their progress through small, consistent habits that slowly restrict circulation, dull hormones, and weaken tissues. The first and most overlooked is excessive sitting. Sitting for long periods, especially with poor posture, compresses the nerves and blood flow in the pelvic area. This alone can create numbness, tissue tightening, and yes, visible shrinkage. For Richard, simply getting up every hour, walking more, and using a supportive cushion made a noticeable difference in both comfort and firmness. Next was alcohol. One or two drinks may seem harmless, but alcohol dehydrates tissues, narrows blood vessels, and suppresses testosterone production. When Richard reduced his drinks to just a few times a week, his morning arousals returned within days. We also reviewed his medications. He had been on a beta blocker and an SSRI for over 10 years. While helpful in their own ways, both are known to reduce sexual function and blood flow. With his doctor's help, we found better-suited alternatives within weeks. He reported not just more physical response, but a lift in mood he hadn't felt in years. And then came stress, silent, constant, and deeply rooted. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol, which lowers testosterone, disrupts sleep, and keeps the nervous system on edge. Richard had never talked about relaxation, but he started small. 10 minutes of quiet in the morning, a short walk in the sun, writing a few words each night. He said at first it felt strange, then it felt like coming home, by releasing what no longer served him. Richard unlocked more than physical change. His energy returned, his body responded. And when I saw him last, he said, "I think I finally stopped fighting myself." That, to me, is the heart of this journey. When you remove what quietly stands in the way, you give your body the space to grow and your spirit the permission to rise. Now that you've come this far, let's take one final look at what happens when a man lives from that grounded, restored place within himself. What it really means to reclaim your manhood after 60. For more than 30 years, I've sat across from men just like you, men who've spent their lives working hard, doing the right thing, showing up for everyone else, and somewhere along the way, their bodies began to change, quietly, slowly, until one day, they looked down and didn't recognize the man they once were. I've seen the frustration in their eyes, the quiet shame, the sense of loss that no one talks about. But I've also seen something else, something deeply powerful. I've seen what happens when those same men stop accepting decline as a given and start reclaiming what was never truly gone. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've told yourself it doesn't matter, that you should just be grateful to be here, that worrying about size or strength is vain. But let me say this clearly, it's not vanity, it's identity, and you are absolutely allowed to want more for yourself. You've just uncovered 5 practical, life-changing tools that most men your age never hear about. You've learned how blood flow lays the foundation and how something as simple as pelvic floor exercises can start reversing years of silent retreat. You now understand the hidden role of the suspensory ligament and how patient, steady stretching can reveal what was always there. You've explored the importance of natural testosterone, not just for energy and mood, but for the very structure and vitality of your manhood. You've felt the promise of warmth and how a simple towel in 10 minutes can reawaken what had gone cold and distant. And finally, you've looked at what needs to be removed, the sitting, the quiet habits, the invisible stress that slowly pulls you away from your strength. But deeper than all of that is this simple truth. These aren't just tips to gain an inch. They are reminders that your body still belongs to you, that you are still capable of change, that you are not fading, you are returning. I think of men like Martin, who rediscovered sensation after years of silence, or George, who smiled wider than he had in years after seeing his progress, or David, who came in defeated and left standing taller. These men didn't become someone new. They came home to themselves. And now it's your turn. It doesn't matter how long it's been. Your body remembers. It's waiting for you to remember too. So if you're still wondering whether it's too late, let me be the one to tell you, it's not. It never has been. Start now, reconnect, reclaim, and feel proud again. Begin with one small act, one stretch, one moment of stillness, one quiet promise to show up for yourself again. This journey is not about chasing youth. It is about awakening what has quietly waited within you all along. As your habits take root, you will feel it, not just in your body, but in your confidence, your calm, your quiet strength. If this spoke to you, type "still growing" in the comments. And if you want more guidance like this, feel free to subscribe. There is more ahead, and your next chapter is just getting started. Keep going, you're not done yet.